Imagine a nation where the military has been stripped of its pride, a landscape where once mighty defenses have crumbled under the weight of a relentless campaign. Imagine a regime so consumed by the preservation of its own shadow that it views its citizens not as people to be protected, but as sandbags to be stacked against the coming storm. This is the story of a leadership that has retreated into the cold, concrete safety of deep earth bunkers, leaving a vulnerable population to stand in the open air, facing the fire they ignited. Stay with me, because what is happening in Iran right now isn't just a military conflict. It is the ultimate betrayal of a people by their masters. Stay with us to see how the final hours of this regime are unfolding. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has issued a frantic 11th hour warning. The Bushehr reactor, already damaged by projectile strikes earlier this month, is a radiological time bomb. If a strike hits the facility while thousands of civilians are standing at its gates, the resulting disaster will not just be a massacre, it will be a regional catastrophe that poisons the soil for generations. As the 8 p.m. hour nears, the rhetoric from Washington has reached a fever pitch. President Trump's latest communication was a haunting prophecy. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. In Tehran, the human chains are now in place. Men, women, and students stand in the shadow of cooling towers and reactor domes, looking at a sky that they know could ignite at any second. They are the shields for a regime that has already abandoned them, a leadership that is asking its people to die for a revolution that only exists now in the darkness of a bunker. The world watches the clock. The drones continue their circle. And in the silence of the Iranian night, the only thing louder than the tension is the collective heartbeat of a people waiting to see if their own government has truly signed their death warrants. This is the story of a nation held hostage by its own leaders, a narrative of the final, desperate hours of a regime that has chosen to hide while asking its people to burn. The clock is ticking toward a midnight that may never end. It is April 7th, 2026, and the world is witnessing the final, agonizing gasps of a regime that has run out of bullets, run out of allies, and is now running out of time. The air in Tehran is no longer filled with the sound of commerce or the call to prayer. It is filled with the low-frequency hum of Israeli and American drones, circling like vultures over a dying beast. At 8 p.m. EDT tonight, the final deadline set by U.S. President Donald Trump will expire. His ultimatum was as blunt as a hammer: reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or watch every bridge and power plant in Iran turn into a pillar of fire. Faced with total military decimation, the Iranian regime has turned to its last available resource, the lives of its own children. In a chilling broadcast across all state channels, Alireza Rahimi, the Secretary of the Supreme Council of Youth and Adolescents, appeared on screen, not from a palace, but from a shadowy, reinforced bunker. He didn't call for a counterattack, he called for a human wall. "I invite the youth, the artists, the athletes, and the students to join the human chain for a bright future," Rahimi declared. "Stand shoulder to shoulder at our power plants. Let the world see that to strike our assets is to strike our hearts." This is the human shield strategy in its most naked form. From the Bushehr nuclear facility to the massive combined cycle plants in Kazarun, thousands of civilians are being bussed to the perimeters of high-priority targets. They are being told they are defending national assets, but the grim reality is that they are being placed in the strike zones of precision-guided munitions. While the youth are being urged to martyr themselves under the open sky, the architects of this disaster have vanished. The surface. In the streets of Tehran and Shiraz, the mood is one of quiet, terrified compliance. Reports indicate that many of those in the human chains are students whose university credits are being held hostage by the Besiege, or civil servants who were told their families' food rations depended on their volunteering. The depths. Deep beneath the Zagros Mountains, in the passive defense bunker complexes, the IRGC High Command and the inner circle of the Supreme Leader sit in air-conditioned safety. They watch the world through satellite feeds, waiting to see if the U.S. will actually pull the trigger on a human chain. The devastation has already begun. Even before the deadline, strikes have leveled railway bridges in Kashan and knocked out power substations in Karaj, plunging entire districts into a darkness that serves as a preview of what is to come.